So, welcome to Past, Present, Future, the Full Circle podcast. On this podcast, we will be speaking to artists, managers, label owners, stylists, really anyone involved within the UK music and rap industry. The aim is to give you a full circle overview on their life, their past, their present, and obviously their future. So, Past, Present, Future, episode 15. So, as I always am, really, really excited for today, and kind of as well because it's come from a natural relationship. So, through J-Way.
Yep.
So, obviously, J-Way nominated you to come on. So, we are here with London the Plug.
Jeez, what's happening?
So, as always, I'd love to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself for probably the few that don't know who you are,
Right.
and then we can kind of go into the past, present, future conversation.
Okay. Well, I'm London the Plug. What's happening? I'm so happy to be here today. Big up yourselves.
Thank you.
Big up J-Way. Immediately when I saw it, I was like, of course, boo. You know, I'm
Come
going
on.
to be here. I'm London the Plug. I'm the plug. What you need, what you want, I got you. I'm the GOAT in the industry when it comes to events, tour management. I'm a female engine in this empire, you know, in the UK. I bring US to the UK. I bridge that gap, you know, and anything in between. So here I am, London the Plug. What's up?
Let's do it. And you touched upon female then specifically, which is something
Absolutely.
I really want to go
Yeah.
into probably within the present moment of the conversation, but
Yeah.
that's super important to us, is to explore that, the injustices
course.
there, and kind of how you've come out the other side and to get to that GOAT status like you mentioned.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to do initially, like we always do, is to imagine we're transitioning into the past. Let's
Okay.
take a step back
Yeah.
and to understand a little bit about your childhood. So
Yeah.
I mean, immediately.
The glasses come off me. Feel me?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
let's
this
get
is
serious.
serious.
Want to see my eyes?
What's your immediate reaction when I say the word childhood?
Wow. Sporty, individual, bright, charismatic. I used to be the jokester of the class.
Is it?
Yeah, the sporty girl. We used to be like in the special, you know, the sporty ones that are really good at sports, and we never went to like classes, but we're doing athletics, you know,
Okay.
during PE, or that was my life. You know, I was never in music at all. I was a professional football player, soccer. So,
Who for? Who for?
I was actually playing for Tottenham at the time.
Really?
Tottenham ladies at the time, before I got scouted to go to the States. And then obviously finish off my secondary school there, and then obviously uni in America. But before that, yeah, no inkling of music at all. I was a sporty girl, jokester of the class, badass, basically. That was me. That was me in a nutshell, to be honest.
How did that go down with your parents?
Yeah, my ass got beat a lot, and I spoke back often.
Really?
I think from young I had a big voice.
Yeah.
I was like Dora the Explorer, you know, from young, from like 8 onwards. All I can remember is that there's a bigger life to this. There's a bigger picture to this, you know. So by the time I was 15, I bought my own fax machine, bought my own little laptop of me working as an elf during the Christmas season. Like I had like a little Saturday job, do you know what I mean, stocking up. By the time I hit 15, 16, got myself to America, a full scholarship, you know. And by doing that, researched, I was ultimately the chick that was like, there's a bigger world out there,
yeah.
you know. I'm in school's great, I'm good at sports, whatever, but there has to be a way for me to travel, you know. That's all I wanted to do, was travel and see the bigger world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I found a way to do that, which was obviously through sports.
Sure.
At the time, got myself a full scholarship, and the rest is history from there.
That's crazy. It seems absolutely mental. So by the time you were 15, 16, you were completely self-sufficient is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to America with £20 in my pocket.
Wow.
Literally. All my pocket money, you know, big up my mum at the time. She was just investing in her daughter that wanted to live, you know. I didn't see anything but I wanted to be away from England. I wanted to be out in the universe for me, you know. I was like, there must be something else, because I wasn't happy here, you know. I wasn't happy, and I just felt like the talents that I had, the energy that I had, the charisma that I had.
It's being compressed.
It was being compressed completely, you know? So I did research. Every day I would get up and thinking, how can I get to America? America was a goal for some reason. I think it was almost like,
what was it?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like the dream, isn't it? Everyone thinks about LA. You know, you go there for the dream, you know? So I felt I was fixated on the States. And yeah, I got in contact with coaches, with unis out there and emailed. I was like, hey, I'm only 15. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm good at sports. I'm good at football. You know, are you interested to see what I have? And they're like, send videos. I'm like, okay, cool. First step done. Oh my gosh, they want videos. So literally, I remember this day like it was like yesterday. And I was in the park with my little dog. Big up Precious, R.I.P. And I had my little camcorder. Put it on the grass, leaned it up, and started doing tricks.
Sick.
Tricks. Had my dog chase me. I remember one time I kicked the ball far. And I sprinted, and then the dogs obviously chased, you know, running next to me. But it showed my quickness. Do you know what I mean? Don't know what they saw in that. The raw footage, I slid it together. You know, the little app that we used to have back in the days. Sliced it together, Microsoft app, I can't remember what it's called. And sent it. Raw video.
And that was it.
Kid you not, they all came back and was like, we're going to fly you out next week.
Wow.
You know, come for a trial, come for this trial. And no one could believe it. Like my mum was like, Mum, I'm going to LA next week. She's like, wait, what? What's happening here? You know? And yeah, I was like, take me to the airport next week, Tuesday. And they took me to the airport next week, Tuesday. And they couldn't believe what was happening. You know, everyone was crying because they had no idea what was going on. And however, I knew what was happening, you know? Landed in America and the coach got me and I never looked back since. I was away for like 2 years.
2 years.
Full scholarship.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, just before you went into that explanation, you referenced specifically you weren't happy in England.
No.
So I'm just trying to understand, and one of the things that I love about this podcast is about understanding sometimes the moments of depression or anxiety or the tough moments, and actually how did you come out the other side of that to get where you are today? So what did that unhappiness look like in England?
For me, it was like stuck, you know, like I was, you know, when you're that adolescence where you're going through the phase of like secondary school and I went to college, and I was in college doing dance, but I wasn't too sure if this was what I want to do, you know, and I think obviously I was good at football, great, and it was just like, okay, so what's next? Do you know what I mean? At the time, my parents were divorcing, so all of that as a young child, you know, I was looking after my siblings, our younger ones. They were like 4 and 5. So for us, it was like, you know, like this can't be life.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? I'm originally from Tottenham, North London. In 17, what's up? But I knew, like, you know, the story is not usually, hey, I'm going to be famous one day. That's not what we get from being in school or being in college. It's just like, I'm going to live and work a 9 to 5. For me, I can't explain it. There was something in me that was like, that's not my destiny. Yeah. That's not me. Do you get what I mean?
I do.
So I feel like the unhappiness times created
a fire.
A fire in me that saw hope, and a fire in me that said, well, you ain't gonna get it handed to you because you're not built like that. We don't come from that background. You know, I wasn't rich.
Sure.
You know, we come from a very poorly background where we had to fight for what we got. But that is what I used to then infuse a fire in me to work hard, to be a elf on Saturday mornings during Christmas, and to get little change, like £100, to then buy my little fax machine where I fax my little GCSE results over. And then now, boom, full scholarship. Do you get what I mean? But it never stopped there. That created another beast.
Sure.
Do you get what I mean? So I kept going and looking for the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's really important. I read something the other day which basically said that humans are built to walk uphill, meaning that you'll have a goal, you'll walk uphill to that goal, but it doesn't just stop there. You see another goal and then you walk uphill to that goal, and it never stops. The mountain is essentially in the sky.
Exactly.
It's never ending. So that is, that's really, really interesting. I'm thinking about, you said about your parents' divorce. You made a point of that. How much did that rock you at the time?
It rocked me because it was like a division where it's like I was a daddy's girl, but daddy's hurting mummy, you know? So it's like...
In what sense?
just emotionally. And it's like knowing that they're going through the whole cheating and stuff. Obviously back then we didn't know what that was. However, we know that mummy was crying and she was hurt. Do you know what I mean? And my dad was free and he was off. So that picture for us painted like, okay, cool, well, I'm a daddy's girl, but hold on a second, daddy ain't thinking about us right now. We're with mummy and we've seen her hurting and crying, you know? And it's like, how do we then love a person that's hurting the other person that we love also? So for me, it was like a kind of like a journey to like establish, you know, what is love, what is my relationship between the two. And of course, like anyone would, like we fell on mummy's side.
Really,
you ain't gonna do this to mummy. What the hell? You ain't doing this, you know? So for me, it was like it then molded me into a toughie. Like, you can't cry about this. We gotta protect mummy at all costs, and we gotta make sure we put food on the table and help out where we can. Grow up. That's it. Do you know what I mean? So in our culture, I'm Jamaican Brazilian, so in our culture it's like toughen up. You know, you can cry behind closed doors, that's great, but what are you gonna do when you wake up in the morning? Do you know what I mean? And that's where you have to fight for survival. Forget about the pain. Do you know what I mean? Because life is still going. And that's what it learned. That's what taught me at such a young age already.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's fair. I don't know. Like when you, in hindsight, when like yourself now, like when you view your child growing up, you know, like even my twin sister, she got a baby now, and everything she said from his age, like he's only 1. And already she's establishing, okay, cool, this is your savings. When you're 16, you won't have to struggle. But that's beautiful because it's like we didn't have that opportunity to be kids. You know, grow up and do whatever you want. That's not what you want? Okay, great. Think about something else. No, it wasn't that. We didn't have time for that. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean,
but it
that's
sounds like
life.
you've morphed that pain that you went through into something that's incredibly positive,
100%.
which is admirable to say the least.
Yeah,
so,
100%, man.
props to you.
Come on.
No, props to you. So I'm just thinking out loud, and this is one of the things that I really wanted to discuss actually with you specifically. I mentioned that we're keen to discuss women in the industry and kind of the injustices, but also your sexuality as well.
Yeah,
so I wanted to go into that and kind of understand, I guess initially, at what point did you know that your sexuality was different to the normal, whatever that is?
Whatever that is. Yeah.
And how did you navigate that situation?
I think from young, man, like I used to be a tomboy. I had the best BMX bike with the peds on the back. You ride on my bike. Do you know what I mean? And like when we ride past the girls, I used to hang out with only boys, you know, completely. So I was part of Demand Them. And they viewed me in that way. They never disrespected me or anything. They never saw me differently. And I guess it's the same when you want to teach your child like black and white. Like what is saying?
What does it mean?
So it's the same like male and female. So that they treated me the same. It wasn't like, oh, like she can't do that. No, I picked that up. Do you know what I mean? So for me, the only time I really started exploring it and started understanding it, because I didn't think it was not normal until I was about, I was in like secondary school. I look at girls like, oh, girl, you cute. Do you know what I mean? But then I thought guys were fly too. But it was a different feeling. Yeah. It was a different type and a different feeling that I had. And I think it wasn't, to be honest with you, it wasn't until I went to America
really
that I started exploring my sexuality. In the UK, I was non-existent. Because I used to, my parents, before their divorce, I had coach as parents, so they used to teach us, coach us in football and coach us in athletics. My sister, bigger her up, she was like the 4th fastest in the country. We were meant to actually run for the Olympics. We went to GMTV and everything, like to have like an interview about that. But like obviously that's before the whole storm hit. But like for me, I didn't have time to figure out, oh, this is different. Do you get what I mean? It wasn't until I went to America and I got exposed to, oh, women date women here and men can date men, or vice versa, whatever it is. You can just be free. And it's when I came back home, I noticed it wasn't so in your face. It wasn't that. And that's when I noticed, oh, actually, this is different. Do you get what I mean? All these years, I was in 2 years for America before I came back. And all that time I was like, you know, exploring. I felt, oh, actually, yeah, this is me. I like both. Do you know what I mean? And when I came back, it's realized actually you can't like girls here, that we don't do that here. You can't be open with it, I should say. And that's the breaking point for me, because there was a time when, I wanted to be free and open with my mother at the time. And I think I was about 17, 18. So I came out quite late. Probably even later, like 19, but in that range, right before the 20s. And I was like, damn. I told my sister, I came up, my twin sister was the first person I came out to. And I was like, I like women. This is me. And she was like, oh my gosh. Like, she was so supportive. However, she didn't know how our parents would react. Everyone is. I think the ultimate thing about, anyone in my position that wants to come out is it's not to do with yourself. It's always to do with other people and how are they taken, how are they view you, you know? And if I'm honest, the only reason why I thought, you know what, I need to break free, because it was either die, commit suicide, or mum, this is me, and are you going to accept me for who I am? And one morning I came home, because there was actually a girl I was dating at the time, and I saw all my siblings around me with, relationships, and they could bring them home, and I couldn't, I couldn't be open. I couldn't talk about it. No one knew. And that for me was suffocating. I was drowning. I couldn't be free and open and be happy. I had to come home and suppress my happiness. Do you get what I mean? And so I said, Mom, we need to talk now. Come downstairs now. This is my last day. If this reaction is not good and what we need, I probably won't be here. Do you get what I mean? I need to break free. And big up my mum, man. I hated her because she said, I always knew. I was like, girl, all this time, you've had me out here stressing for life. And you tell me I always knew. It was a beautiful conversation. And one thing I would say, the biggest message for anybody that's out there that wants to open up about their sexuality for anything, your parents always know. And it's true, because the advice that I got from other folks, like, listen, your child, your mum's child, they know you. Do you know what I mean? And
on that point, I'm just thinking, where do you think the feeling of that it's not going to be accepted from your parents comes from then? Do you think that's a culture?
Culture. Always. Culture and religion is the two things, I've had folks myself that's opened up to me about their sexuality around me, and they would never come out to their parents because of culture, because of religion, and I feel like, is that what life is then? Are you living for them? Through them? Because if you ask, I feel like if you reverse the question and ask them, I want to see what their response would be. Yeah. Because I guarantee you, my mum her response would not have been, don't tell me. Oh, I know you're going to die. I know you're going to commit suicide, so don't tell me. No. I think that's a big message. No. And for me, I feel like my sexuality doesn't define who I am. Do you know what I mean? Even down to like the things that I do, like London the Plug, like I'm not defined by, big up everybody in the community, and I big it up and I respect, and however, I'm not defined by my sexuality. A lot of folks ask me, why don't you do gay events? Because I'm not defined by my sexuality. I do events for everybody. I'm inclusive of everybody, and it's choice. However, my choice is I'm not defined by my sexuality. I don't live by it. I don't live through it. That's no one's business apart from whoever I'm dating. I'm very private when it comes to that. But I know my relationship with my mom, she needs to know exactly who her daughter was and is. And I feel like that's love. Yeah. When you're able to, that's unconditional love. I love you regardless of who you are. Do you get what I mean? And if they don't love you for whoever you are, then you know what, you have different choices to be making right now. Yeah. Whether you need to move on forward and create your family, recreate that and create what that looks like and make it happy for you. Or if, like it happened to me, great response. And I was able to be caressed and loved in that moment where I thought all those years of suffering, girl, I wanted at least kid, like, just tell me or slap me or something. Do you know what I mean? Because the pain that I felt was not necessary in the end. Not at all. Do you know what I mean? So man, yeah, I've been able to have a great response. But as I said, like it's usually always religion and culture. Do you know what I mean? But put that aside. You know, who are you when you look in the mirror?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like what makes you happy? And that's what I stay focused on. And me being free and real with who I am to everybody, that's what makes me happy. Do you know what I mean?
Thank you for such a amazing, honest and inspiring answer. So I really appreciate it. And I know that a lot of other people will as well, which is really important for us. It's not just to have the conversation, us two, but it's actually how can we help other people that this gets in the way of. So thank you so much. And I guess to finally tie that subject up, you mentioned that conversation with your mum was a beautiful moment, I think you said. How euphoric did you feel after that? How much of a weight was lifted off your shoulders for potentially anyone that's in the same position that wants to kind of envisage that outcome?
I saw life again. I feel like I saw my dreams again. I felt human again. The worst feeling is to feel like you're suffocating, not physically. You know, something's got me in a chokehold. Something weighed me down. I couldn't embrace my true self. And as soon as she was like accepting of whoever, she even shared her own past experiences. And she said, you know, it might be a phase, it might not. You know, you in time would tell what that looks like for you. But you don't live through me. You don't live for me. You're living for you, and you have to make it make sense for you. Because you know, at the end of the day, we're not dying together. We all die alone.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? And I want to die as a person that is honest, comfortable with who I am and what that looks like for everybody else. And if you don't accept it, then you're not supposed to be in my space or my universe.
Agreed.
Do you get what I mean? So I feel like the message is like, overall, like the weight was lifted and I felt free. And I think the biggest thing is I felt human with no judgments. And that's how you're supposed to live. Do you know what I mean? Human with no judgments, and that's how you're supposed to live. And as soon as you feel like you're suffocating, get yourself out that space. Take yourself fully away from those folks. They're not supposed to be around you or for you. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like once people get the message of living for you, then nothing else matters. That's it. That's
Agreed.
it.
Agreed.
That's it, man.
No, thank you so much. No, it's really, really, really good snippet. And it's important for us to kind of tackle these topics that potentially aren't normally discussed in interviews and conversations like this. So that's something very much I pride
think it's
myself
the first time
on.
I've spoken about my sexuality as well.
Wow.
Jesus.
Here we go. Here we go. No, but
I'm
absolutely.
here for it. Let's go. We're transparent. We're honest.
That's it.
This is who we are and this is who I be. So
That's it.
That's
So it's
it.
important. But no, thank you so much. And I mean, to transition into the present.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier when you were talking about like the football and the sporty background and stuff like that, that music was never present.
No.
So which kind of leads me to the question to transition into the now.
Yeah.
How did you get into the music industry?
I was a party girl. I was in uni. I was really popular. It's playing soccer. We won the SWAC. It was obviously got them rings.
Okay.
We were out here like big boys. And yeah, I was not into music at all. I kind of fell into it and I navigated myself. I've always been a people person. I love going out. I love networking.
Yeah.
Like your network, like is your net worth. Like honestly, I cannot stress that enough. Go out, explore, ask questions. If you need help, ask for help. Do you get what I mean? I know a lot of folks that feel kind of scared to do that and put themselves in really awkward positions. But that's the key.
What would you say to those people?
Do it. Throw yourself in it. Because for me, I'm always scared stepping in new rooms. But I step in with new rooms knowing that no matter what, I'm going to take 1% away from this. 1%, that's all you need. You know, and that's opportunity. So if you don't do, you will never know. Like facts at all. You know, how can I speak about me stepping into that room, what's going to happen? I can't answer that until I put myself in that position. So I was out one day. I was actually not supposed to go to this party, but I got invited, and Young Money it was their party, and I got invited through friends because like, hey, I was the only actual like London girl, British girl to ever go to that uni. So that journey was crazy. Oh my gosh, long story for another day. But I dealt with racism. Like obviously, I was in a black state. I dealt with racism myself because they couldn't believe that I was black and British. Like, what? This is not normal. This is interesting. It's weird. Anyway, I got really popular off the back of that. and I got invited out. And Cortez Bryant, love him to death, would always, give him props because he was the reason what birthed everything. He's Young Money's, Lil Wayne's manager, if you didn't know, Drake's manager at the time. And literally, I was out at this party and he came over to me and he was like, oh, you're the London girl everyone's talking about. I'm like, yeah, what's up? Cool. Anyway, that party turned into getting home at 9 a.m. I had class the next day. I remember getting in, quickly showering. And he was like, come to a brunch, like the same day, come to our brunch. So I'm thinking, man, I'm with Lil Wayne and these people. I'm like, I need to be at that brunch. Went to class, snuck out the class, went back, got dressed, went to the brunch. I partied with them, I kid you not, for like probably 5 days straight. During that time, it was like Memorial Weekend, a week or whatever. So in uni, I went to like a historically black school, HSBCU, and they would have like little, like the sororities and the fraternities and stuff. So that whole week was just booming, like different events, brunches, whatever. I skipped class, like, listen, I failed. It was unbelievable. I had to buy my maths teacher a British scarf to say, like, please give me a C at least. Pass me, babes. Anyway, I went out that whole week with them, networking, just throwing myself out there. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. However, I feel like I'm getting somewhere. I remember on the Friday, there was a night and went to dinner and he pulled me to the side and he was like, you know what? I like your energy. I can see you're tired and you've been out with us, but you're hungry. There's something about you, just hungry and you don't know what you're here for. I was like, I have no idea. He's like, but you're hungry. Let me give you a job. And I'm like, okay. Would you like to be Drake, who's coming up and coming assistant? And I'm thinking, who the hell is Drake? Yeah, cool, whatever. All knew this Canadian kid was hanging out with Wayne. I was with them all. He seems like he's hot, I guess. Music's fire. Fine, let's do this. The rest is history. I worked with him for 4 years. I remember I came back home. He did the Hammersmith Apollo. First show with Joe. J. Cole.
Wow.
And yeah, I remember having a guest list of like 10, 20 guest lists. No one took the guest list. No one knew who he was really then, which was crazy, obviously, to now, me saying this, But I was with them for 4 years. And then from there, I graduated from school. Barely. I made it though, because I was really good in, soccer.
Sure.
And
yeah.
so like with like the whole academy, like once you're an athlete and you're doing really well, they're able to, pass you. Otherwise, I would have failed completely. But there was something that I was going for. There was something that was the bigger picture. And honestly, that opportunity, that moment put me in a position to work with him for so long. And I started climbing the ladder. I started doing like things for 106 on Park. They actually turned me into an artist myself, which was insane. I got signed by them, and no one knows this really.
Wow.
Find music out there somewhere, but yeah, I mean, I got the snake end of the stick. I mean, not with Young Money, but with the producer I was working with at the time. I love-hate relationship or whatever. But fast forward, like I started working with Rick Ross, 106 on Park, just climbing the ladder from assistant to now like tour assistant. And now like that fast forward like to 2018, well, actually a little bit before that, 2017, when I came back to the UK. And I thought, you know what, I'm back home for a little bit. What am I going to do with this? And I turned into a promoter. And I was the first then to start worked alongside another guy called Stephen Kooky, and we started booking artists because they were my friends, I was there in the States for such a long time, and I would just message like, hey, want to come to the UK and do a tour? So we had Terence Jerry, we had Amber Rose, we did Wild 'N Out with Nick Cannon, who I'm still super cool with. And I started, as a promoter, and I started putting little P's up, money that I made off the back of me working from before. And I was collaborating on different concerts, and then I branched out and did Cardi B myself. So no one knew who Cardi B was. This was before Bodak Yellow. And I booked her off of Love and Hip Hop. Sold out, 2 dates, boom. Coco's in London and Birmingham, O2. Sold out. And that was my break in the UK. And everyone started knowing, who's London the Plug? you know? And that's where I got London the Plug from, because it's like, you're the plug, you're plugging these American artists, no one else is doing it. And now here comes Cardi B, and then she drops Bodak Yellow. Boom.
Boom.
When she's gone up, I've gone with her. And it hasn't stopped since, you know? So that's where I'm at now, you know? And then off the back of that, promoting, of course, you got to start getting other offers and stuff. And that's when I started meeting the right folks in the UK. And I was out again one night. Again, it's like, I cannot stress, like being out and about and putting yourself in positions where you can network. I feel like people don't invest in your talents or anything. They invest in they like you.
Sure. It's
important to be likable.
Agreed.
Because when you like someone, you know what? I'm going to give you a chance. And that's what they liked about me, you know, in a nutshell. And I was out at the box. And my friend Laurie, big her up. She's so massive in the styling industry. And she gave Laurie London. She gave me a contact. She's like, hey, my friend's looking for a tour assistant. Let me put you forward. I'm like, all right, cool. I go to the interview, 3 interviews in. They email me, you got the job. I'm thinking, who am I tour assistant for? Gorillas. Boom. And I've been working with them ever since, you know? So it's almost about, as I said, opportunities comes when you put yourself out there and expose yourself to positions that you would never necessarily do.
Yeah.
And you feel scared to be in that room. But you're supposed to be in that room, because I'm telling myself, I'm supposed to be in that room. And when you have enough belief in yourself, like the Kanye vibe, everyone's going to believe you.
Yeah.
If I come in this room and be like, these are yellow. These are yellow. You're going to be like,
Yeah,
they're yellow. You heard what she said. Even though you're like, they're black. What's she talking about? They are yellow. And that's how I move in life.
Yeah.
It might not work for everybody, but guess what? There's more doors, boo. That's fine. I'm not supposed to be everybody's cup of tea.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? We're not supposed to always work together, and that's fine. And that's what you have to realize. I've been reading quite a few books now where I don't take that personal. It's not personal. You know, we're all on our own navigating. COVID's been difficult. I know our mental state's been everywhere else. So I get it. It's not personal. However, if these are yellow, they're yellow. And if you think they're yellow, let's work. If they're not yellow, that's fine. I'm going to make sure he knows they're yellow. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
I love like using things like that. But for you to understand, like that's where I navigate, and that's where I've been able to kick down doors and be in the position that I am in now, you know?
Quick one. We work with a lot of up and coming urban artists across the UK who are seeking press assistance, radio airtime, creative marketing solutions, and really all round artist development within an industry that is constantly evolving. Which is why when we had the opportunity to partner with the 1994 Collective on this podcast, it made perfect sense. So to any aspiring artists that are seeking commercial success, please do get in contact with the 1994 Collective and let them know we sent you. There's 2 things that I've taken from that story. So there's the self-belief element, which is kind of in reference to the yellow thing, and that self-belief, when it's strong enough, is infectious with whoever you're with. But also within that story, you mentioned a couple of your friends believing in you as well, and having that belief in you, which then projected you into the Gorillaz situation, into the Drake situation and stuff like that. And I know we spoke off camera, and someone that was huge on self-belief, but also I guess injecting that belief into other people was Jamal. So I know that we wanted to have the opportunity to speak about it.
Man.
So 100%.
100%. I feel like I go through my own like mental like ups and downs. I think COVID made me still. COVID made a lot of people still, and the blessing behind that, even though it was a curse, because I never knew that I was going to be potentially out of job and having to rethink about what I'm doing. But I feel like the time is now that there's a lot of things that are just waking everybody up. And Jamal was a huge hit to the culture. I crossed paths with him. I've never worked with him or anything like that. However, in a room, as you do, you know, as goats do, you honor each other and you pay your respect where due. So I feel like something like this is such a hit to the industry that his legacy is beautiful to watch how much people loved him and what he did for our culture, music culture, all of that. for everybody that he helped. And for me, what was beautiful is that I'm like, man, that's the type of effect that I want.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean? But how did he get to that place?
Mm-hmm.
How was he able to affect so much people in a positive way and have that outcome? Because I can imagine him being in heaven right now, being like, damn, he's everywhere. He was on my feed. But how did he become that person? It's what he did, his actions. You know, I feel like a lot of folks are in big positions, and then I've even come across folks where I'm like, man, you're in such a position where you can change somebody's life. Do you get what I mean? And for me, I know that I've always stayed true to that. I'm from Tottenham. I'm not from a place of opportunity. You have to create that. You have to be that kid that's like, I can see past my walls, my little 2-bedroom house or whatever it is, my council estate. I can see past that. I'm deserving of being there in that room with folks. And when I get there, I'm going to make sure everybody behind me has a helping hand too. You know? So I feel like it's like us being still with COVID and everybody being in the same position. We're all considering what we're going to do now because the entertainment industry was pretty much abolished. Do you get what I mean? But now we're all in the position now where we have our strengths back. What are you doing with that? What does that look like to you? Do you get what I mean? As I said, I've been in a lot of rooms with folks that are in high positions and they sit there with a high hat and it's like, la da 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 da, I'm going to continue being and not caring. That's not the move no more, my guy. That's not. Do you get what I mean? And Jamal showed us that. And it's almost like when you pass, what legacy are you leaving behind? Because I know I want it to look like that. 100%. And I already know I do that anyway, because even to this day, anybody that messaged me for my DMs, I holler back. I could be low and flat and my energy's drained. I still know it's enough to give somebody like them that's like, hey, London, I was wondering, da, 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 da. And if I don't have the answer, I'm like, look, I can potentially help you elsewhere. And if I don't have the answer, let me know how I can help you with how I can help you with my tools. Do you get what I mean? So I feel like, guys, anyone that's in a position to make someone else's life change, do it with no questions. You know, I was on another like lineup the other day, like a couple of months back, and I remember the question with one of the chicks. They were like, "Oh, if your friend asks you for help, you know, obviously you're massive now. Do you help or whatever?" And their response was like, "It really depends if they're using me or whatever." What's using me? You know, I can never be used. Never be used. Because for me, what I put out, I get it back. And I actually focus on that. I don't focus on what you're trying to gain. Because I'm going to give you what I can give you. And to me, that's enough. Because I'm going to do good for you anyway. But you can never use me. You get what I mean? Because you just keep climbing. So you can never be used. You know? So it's like almost like the time is now to sit and study and look at what you're able to do for everybody else and yourself to navigate, because you always get it back. You know, and Jamal really showed that. He really showed that, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say within that, so I guess you can look at it one-dimensionally in terms of I'm giving this person this, but actually what's deeper than that is when you give out something that's well-received and it benefits someone, it makes you feel great with inside yourselves, and it moulds that legacy that you've discussed as well. So yeah, you can't look at it in terms of a flat picture of, they're trying to take this from me. It's actually much deeper than that.
It's changed now, 2022. Like, it's new rules for yourself, and then new rules for my career. You know, I look at things a little bit differently now. It's fantastic. I'm on tour. I continue getting blessed to be on these amazing tours. But in between that, I'm like working out, how can I help this person? Well, does that make sense? Like, I got my little nephew. He's like really wants to get in the industry, and he keeps telling me, he's like, hey, London, you know, any little opportunities? I'm like, listen, bro, we got this event next week. Come with me. I'm getting you a cab to my house, and you're going to follow me and watch. I sit and pay attention. Watch everything that I do. I'm going to show you. I can't feed you, but I'm going to give you the tools to feed yourself. And that's my point I'm putting across. Because that's what legacy is. Because I know years to come, when I'm looking back and I'm seeing my guy doing his own events, we're going to remember these moments. Do you know what I mean? And that's how you live through life, to create a legacy. And that's what overall Jamal did for everybody else. And it shows. Even those little slight of handouts, it came right back to him. That's why he had all those folks down on that street in West London the other night celebrating his life. and it was beautiful to watch. Do you know what I mean? Like 100%, like God rest his soul. Amen. You know, for sure.
100% echo that. So thank you for the amazing words. And I'm glad again that we could discuss this and kind of get our thoughts across, because it's super important, and someone that has essentially sculpted the whole industry within the UK. So yeah, amazing topic, and rest in peace again.
Yeah, amen.
So to stay on the present before we kind of move into the future, and I'm going to kind of navigate that point of legacy, as obviously we've touched upon it, to move into the future. But is there anything else that you're working on within the present moment in time that you wanted to go into?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, my biggest. I took a huge hit last year. I tried to do a festival, No Limit Fest, with some cats that, again, you know, not every opportunity and every hand that you get is a great one. But there's a lesson that you learn in that. And it was a great lesson for me to learn.
Which was?
Always go with instinct, you know? I feel like don't give it 100% your all if you feel like deep down inside this doesn't really sit right. And that's the game that you play. It's risk. But I feel like how do you learn?
Yeah.
By taking risk. And how do you now make good decisions from the experience of taking bad risks? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And wow, that was powerful.
That was.
Do you know what I mean? And overall, I took a bad hit last year. I lost a lot of money on the festival.
How much?
It wasn't like 17 grand, maybe 20 grand. And that was like straight cash without counting anything else around it. So I know physically what went out was 20K, and I hit and I lost all of that, you know? And again, it wasn't to do with like the opportunity or anything like that. It was just folks that you choose to work with. Not everyone has your best interests at heart. Unfortunately, you know, some folks are very selfish. So that's what I'm saying. You have to determine that. And for me, I've got good aura and judgment on good energy and stuff. And I didn't listen to that. You get what I mean? But again, this year, what I'm saying is that overall, I can make good decisions now because of the risk that I took and the experience that I went through, you know? And that was actually from Nipsey Hussle. I remember he was saying that, like, it's a big thing, you know? You have to go through bad decisions to experience good ones and know what good ones are now, you know? But anyway, like, so off the back of that, I was coming to this year, I was just like, man, let me shake that off. And it's interesting because my lowest L's has given me my biggest wins. You know? And at the top of the year, I got hit up. I got contacted by Popcorn's management out of the blue. I was in my pajamas, in my headscarf, on my bed, and I got a text like, hey, Popcorn wants to do a party, we need you. I had a heart attack. I was just like, what? Do you mean? And I went in my diary, and 2 years ago, and probably a year before that, I emailed to book him. I got Ed.
Wow.
And then on my book, I put in my affirmations that one day he's one artist that I will work with. And all these L's I've been taking, and then he reached out to me. Put on the biggest party in London I've ever heard of. Had Steph London come through. Had everyone there. Idris Elba, Tim Westwood. Everyone was in the building, Western. And they were all there because of me. Big up Duppy Rum. They sponsored it, covered everything. They didn't even know me. And I reached out and they believed in me and they gave me the opportunity. And now we're working close and close because now they're going to get everything that I'm going to throw at them, you know? So that was that Popcorn. So off the back of that comes the crazy news, which I got my hands on like 2 days ago. A big artist called Skilly Bang. He's got a massive track called Crocodile Teeth with Nicki Minaj and Brick Pum Brick. He's got them big tunes. He's coming to London for the first time. Sold out his concert in 2 minutes at Kentish Town Forum. They just asked me to be his TM, tour manager.
Sick.
And I'm just like, wow, you know? And I took that in a way where I'm like, what else is to come? Obviously, Gorillaz is about to be phenomenal. But I've just, it's crazy how you have these dark thoughts and dark, you know, little errors where you can't see these moments. So to feel those moments, I cry because I remember feeling how much I wanted to feel this feeling.
Yeah.
And then to get it presented to me so easily, like I haven't had to work for that physically right now, but what I did behind me is working for itself. It's now making sense. Do you get what I mean? So it's like, I cannot believe I'm about to be tour manager for Skiddy Bang. This is one of the biggest Jamaican artists right now, you know, ahead of Gorillas. I'm doing Dita Von Teese. She's massive. She used to date Marilyn Manson.
Wow.
Massive in the burlesque scene. She's got like 13 sold out dates. I'm repping her whole tour. I'm being placed in positions that I asked for back when I was trying to figure it out. And now when I figured it out, but in such a messed up way, I've had to swear there, messed up way, I took so much hurt and L's, but I still got back up. And look at me now. I can sit here and proudly say, and for me, I own that. I deserve that. And the fact that when I was going through my pain and telling myself I deserve more, it now makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Because I really do deserve more, and it's now coming in abundance.
Facts.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like at your lowest points is when you're meant to have the most faith. You know, and I did. And it hurt, you know, losing so much money, 20 grand. In my head, I said to myself, you know what, I've been here before. I've lost money before. I've taken L's on concerts. What did I do? I gave myself a plan. I said, I'm going to get myself back in the position within 5-6 months, whatever it may be, to earn that money back. It hurts. However, money comes and goes.
That's it.
It does, you know, but this experience remains. And that's what's gotten me in this position now where folks be like, you know what? She's well overqualified. Let's hire her. And you're like, man, thank you. Thank you. Do you know what I mean? And now it's all starting to make
piece together,
sense and piece together. But this ain't no day. You know what I mean? This has been over years of grind and hustling. I've been going at it, traveling the world since I was 15 by myself. I'm now 32. Like, look how many years that is, like 17 years. And only now I'm starting to feel the glory.
Sure.
You know?
I guess that's a message to anyone that is potentially, I don't know, they feel like what they're doing is great, but they're not reaping the rewards yet, and they're thinking, oh, like how much longer can this go on for? It's just testament to the fact that consistency will breed the results that you're looking for, and I think that that's the most important thing. And one of the really powerful things that you said was like the deepest of L's that you took, that you experienced, created the biggest of wins. And within that, I was thinking about, so like I listened to a podcast, and on it, the guy, Mo Gowda, he basically says that there's a study that's taken place. So if you ask a room of 100 people, if you could remove all the injustices that you've ever faced, all the deaths that have taken part in your life, all of the L's that you've taken, all of these negative experiences, but as a result of removing them, you would remove all the lessons that you've learned from those situations, what would you do? And 99.9% of people say, I would keep those things that have happened in my life, no matter how bad, how deep they are. So I think that's super, super powerful, and I'm glad that you mentioned it. So yeah, very important topic. So thank you for going into it into so much detail and honesty and transparency.
Yeah. I mean, one point I want to make is because I remember I was listening to another podcast actually a couple of days ago, and there was like an up and coming artist that was asking like, oh, you know, when you're an artist, you're broke. How do you then still be able to still believe in your dream and not be like, oh, scrap this and go and do a 9 to 5? I feel like when you're a hustler and you grind, you're going to make the money. Make the money. Make it happen. Make it work. Do not stop because, like I said, I took 20 grand L and I'm thinking I had like a couple quid in my bank. Do you know what I mean? And I'm looking at that like, raw. I was just 20 G's up a couple of months ago and more, and now I'm flat. How do I get back? I didn't think, oh, you know what, forget this, forget my dream. We go just work a quick. No. I thought, how do I utilize my talents? If you're an artist, how do you utilize your talents? You reach out to venues. Hey, can I come perform? You got live music? Can I come perform? So good. Give me 50 quid for my expenses. You can make it happen. Hustle Make it happen. Use your creative to put you in rooms and earn yourself money. That's how you do it. And if I was on that podcast, that would have been my response. The guy at the time, he didn't really have a response. He was just like, oh, I just got to, figure it out. No. I know exactly the formula. You make your talents work for you. For me, I'm a tour manager, and I know if I'm flat on my face, cool, I'm reaching out to artists. Hey, you going on tour? You need someone to rep you? Cool. Try me. Give me £100. They're going to give you that £100. You're going to make it work. Make your talents work for you. You got a talent and you're broke, make it work for you. You email every mankind, dog, cat, ant, mouse, whatever. Hey, and you need your wedding? Okay, cool. I'm going to play at your wedding. You make it work. And that's my answer. I need to mention that.
100%. I think it's really, really great for us as well, because a lot of the people that watch and listen to this podcast are up and coming artists as well, who potentially are in that position. So 1,000% an incredible bit of advice that will resonate well. So thank you for going into it. So let's go into the future.
Okay.
So we've touched upon legacy a lot.
Yeah.
What would your ideal legacy look like?
That's a good question. London, the plug, create opportunities in music, in fashion, for photographers. I feel like a good thing about my position is that I'm able to be an umbrella to other creatives, whether it be musicians, as I said, photographers, up and coming tour managers, assistants. It touches on everybody. And I'm able to have multiple hands that reach out and pull everybody in. Yeah. I feel like I want to be known, my legacy would be the plug. I plugged and made sense of everything. I am the engine, I'm the socket that drive, force everything around me. And I feel like I want to hear a makeup artist being like, oh my gosh, she gave me an opportunity to do this person's makeup. It makes sense for everybody. So I feel like my legacy, I want to touch any creative that's ever been around me and surrounding me, and then to come, that's what I want my legacy to resonate for. London the plug was the plug.
The plug.
She was the plug.
The goat.
The goat. Hey.
Incredible legacy. And to be honest, I think you're well on the way to getting there. So that's incredibly powerful within itself. And in terms of achievements, what do you want to achieve before you pass?
I want to achieve working for the biggest artists. I'm working with some big ones now. I feel like folks like Beyonce, Jay-Z. I'm really obsessed with the American music industry. Of course, that's all I've ever known because I grew up in it. I was young, and so I'm not really familiar with the UK scene that much because I had a long period of time away from the UK. So for me, America is definitely my go-to, but then to be the plug where I bring that here to the UK. So accomplishments I think would be wicked to work, in a massive engine like Beyonce's team, the Hive and the Diddy teams. I feel like that will be incredible to touch, and for a girl from Tottenham to be like she works for Diddy would be incredible, but then it also shows you like anyone that looks like me and that's ever come from my background can do the same damn thing. You just have to believe, and you got to work hard and put yourself in rooms where you're supposed to be there. Doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter how much your parents gave you or didn't give you, or how much they loved you or didn't, how much you love yourself to put yourself in that position. It's all about what you do for you, and for me, I'm not going to stop until I get to that point. I ain't going to stop until I put myself in that room. They always say that you're always three people away from knowing that person. It's true. I know folks that know Rihanna. I know her head stylist, but it's about putting myself in that position when I'm ready. And I know I'm not ready for that just yet, but there'll be a day when I'm like, I'm going for them and I'm going to come for them and I'm going to start working with you. Do you get what I mean? So that's what I'm looking towards now.
What's really incredible within that answer is that you reference, which I guess would be like personal achievements, working with these people, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Rihanna, whoever it might be. But within that answer towards the latter stages, you went on to say, actually kind of the drive behind that is showing other people that look like you, that live where you live, that grew up where you grew up, that they can do it as well, which is, so it's almost like personal gratification, but actually the deeper behind that is selflessness. So
I've witnessed, I've played with folks that didn't end up like me and was the typical council estate person they're not necessarily, living their full potential, their dreams. I've seen that, but I think that's to do with lack of hope and lack of drive within themselves. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like, yes, I believe that we all don't get given the chances.
Sure.
But it's just like you said earlier on, it's about your own self-belief. And I know I deserve to be in that room. I might not look the same. I might not earn the same money, but I know I work hard. I'm going to continue working hard. So if I'm not ready, give me 2 more months. I'm going to come back and be ready. And that's the attitude that I have. And that's the attitude I want folks to adopt. Don't give up. Never give up. Everyone says it's cliche. Never give up. No, actually, don't give up on yourself. It's you're giving up on, not no one else. It's yourself. Do you know what I mean? And as I said, if you're not in that room, you don't feel like you're supposed to be in that room, all right, boo, come back in 2 months. Work hard and go in that room. You're going to have a different conversation.
Facts.
That's it.
Facts. 100%. Okay, well, I've never asked this question before, and I think this is going to be the one that I'm going to end on before I ask you the 2 questions that we ask everyone.
Okay.
Which one of them is a nomination, so I'll give you a couple of moments to think about that. But before I do, what is the meaning of life?
To be free. To be free. Free in love, free in happiness, free in financial, stability. To be free. And that's where I embrace my creativity. I use that to earn money. My talents to earn money, but I'm free.
Freedom
is the ultimate thing in life. Jamal, I'm sure he felt free. You know what I mean? So I think freedom is the ultimate answer to that question.
I agree. Great answer. So before the nomination, so we want to sculpt the content that we make moving forward, and we want to answer unanswered questions or potentially topics that no one else has looked at. So for you, within the UK music industry, what do you think is like a topic that is either unanswered or you would like light to be shed on?
Ooh, that's a good question. Why I feel like the topic we need to talk about is why UK artists are not looked at or discovered as big as the American artist. I feel like that's the plug. That's where I come in, and I've been trying to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
But what makes, anytime a US artist comes here, sold out, everyone's gassed. Oh my gosh. But however, there's like there's a gap. The biggest UK artist, I don't know, think about someone, I don't know.
Dave.
Do you reckon he can go to every state in America and sell out?
Probably not.
People care about him? Of course. Some folks, New York maybe. But why is it when American artist comes here, they sell out internationally? Europe, UK, gassed. I'm trying to figure out what is the issue. Is it us? Is it UK industry? For me, I've come across a lot of artists that don't want to go the extra mile. They don't want to do a free show. I'm like, hey, come to America. Let's do a mini tour. You might not get paid, but you get viewings. You get, it might be a free show. We can get radio play. But Americans will do that. I've booked a lot of Americans that have cut their fee completely to nothing. Basically, they're paying for themselves to be there. But what they get on the back end is more tours, more shows. The bigger picture. So that's a topic we need to talk about.
It's a great answer.
For sure.
See if we can look into it in the future. Who knows?
Let's go. I'm like, yeah, B. Let's talk about that. Can your ass go to the States and everyone's gassed about it? No, let's humble, because I respect all the big UK artists, Crepton, Conan, all of them, Skepta. I love them, all. But I'm passionate about, let's get you across to the States and sell out like crazy. Let's do what WizKid's doing. Do you know what I mean? And I'm super cool with that whole team. But I know their formula. I know what they do and don't do. I know he would do stuff for probably free. Just for the bigger picture. So I feel like some UK artists need to start looking at the bigger picture.
Facts.
That's it.
Let's see what happens. So yeah, catalogue of connections. Who do you nominate to sit across from me and to have a similar conversation?
Ooh.
It can be just to stress artist, manager, whoever within the industry.
Okay. I nominate David Yoboa. He's actually coming on board with my team now. But I feel as though there's a lot of folks that are like big in the industry and doing doing stuff silently that no one knows about. And he's connected a lot of dots with a lot of things. And I think he's amazing. I look up to him as someone like a mentor that I look up to. So I feel like it's only good and blessing for your show and for anyone that's listening to see what I look up to.
Agreed.
And that's someone I look up to. So I nominate him.
See if we can make it happen.
Let's go, David.
Let's
You do it. I'm gonna message you in a minute.
And right, well that's it. How have you found it?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm happy. Ooh, I feel a bit like dead weight's left my system. There's stuff that I've never spoken about, and it's quite interesting because I'm kind of like now a little bit transparent and exposed to the industry, which is nice, a nice feeling.
That's what we like to do.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Job done. But no, thank you so much, honestly, for your time. Incredible wisdom.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah! Baby!